The fact that you have so many Ukrainians seeking refuge in this country of Poland. We understand that because we have in our southern border thousands of people a day, literally, not figuratively, trying to get into the United States. But we believe that we, the United States, should do our part relative to Ukraine as well by opening our borders to another 100,000 people.
That was President Biden with Polish President Duda over the weekend, comparing the Ukrainian refugee crisis to the crisis at the U.S. southern border. So at least we know he's aware of what's happening as a result of wide open borders. Joining me right now is Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich. AG, good to see you this morning. Thanks very much for being here. I think that might be the first time the president has mentioned the wide open border. What do you think?
All time?
Yeah. Well, I think the only thing that what the invasion of Ukraine and what our southern border have in common is that Joe Biden created both of those messes. And I don't say that lightly, but literally people are dying in Ukraine, and it's a terrible tragedy. But literally Americans are dying as a result of the catastrophe that the Biden administration has wrought upon all of America. He literally has allowed the cartels and the gangs to seize southern control of our border. And as a result, millions of people are flooding into our country illegally, which is stressing the social services and our safety net. And additionally, we know that the price of drugs like fentanyl and methamphetamine are dramatically declining because Joe Biden has let the cartel seize control of our border.
Yeah, I mean, one border agent told me that the drug cartels are making $100 million a week. $100 million a week. Many Ukrainian refugees are now showing up at the southern border as well, knowing that the border is wide open. Axios obtained documents from the Department of Homeland Security, and it shows that nearly 1,000 Ukrainians have arrived at the border this month. That is a big jump from the 272 encounters recorded in February, AG Brnovich. So this continues, the flow of foreigners and migrants coming into the U.S. Joe Biden has not said a word about the fentanyl, and that, of course, has killed 100,000 Americans with overdoses.
Yeah, Maria, Americans are dying as a result of the failed policies of the Biden administration. And shame on Joe Biden for not recognizing that not only does Ukraine deserve a secure border, but so do American taxpayers. And as a result of those policies, as you just mentioned, people are dying. And it is absolutely heartbreaking that the cartels are making so much money. And so this is not something that's going to end in the next news cycle. I mean, literally, we will be paying the cost as American taxpayers for an entire generation of Joe Biden's failures and the fact that people like Cartel Kelly from Arizona are enabling this to happen and aren't doing everything they can to draw attention to this issue and to stop the Biden administration from its lawlessness. And just last week, Maria, we won a case in federal court where we stopped the Biden administration's permanent guidance policy. This was a huge win because now we will be able to force the Biden administration to deport people with deportation orders. So there's more than 1 million people in this country with deportation orders that the Biden administration refuses to deport. So essentially what he has done is decriminalize and incentivize people coming here illegally. And that's why we've seen this massive influx. And last thing I just want to add, it's not that me as a former federal and state prosecutor, it's not the Ukrainians coming in that worry me. What worries me is people from Middle Eastern countries that are sneaking in to America in the middle of the night. People from places like Iran and Afghanistan that are just being released into our community. Because at the end of the day, border security is national security.
Right. And Marsha Blackburn's office, the senator from Tennessee, told me that at least 34 people were apprehended who are on the terrorist watch list. So you're right. Terrorists are recognizing the border is wide open, and this is a vehicle for them to get in. So what are you going to do about Title 42, AJ? The administration is now considering ending the Title 42 public health order as early as this week. That, of course, was able, the Title 42 enabled the border agents to send people back to Mexico to wait or just back to their country. You say dropping Title 42 will have a direct impact on our border because even though the White House is not using it effectively, thousands of illegal migrants are still being turned away. That's going away, AG Brnovich. Are you going to file a lawsuit if it does?
Well, Maria, one thing that I have always done is used every tool in my toolbox to try to protect hardworking American taxpayers. So yes, anything the Biden administration does that endangers our American community is going to end up, quite frankly, in litigation. And that's why I'm very proud of our office in states like Ohio and Montana for joining us and stopping what the lawlessness of the Biden administration when it came to the permanent guidance. So we have multiple lawsuits going on. We're going to continue to do that. And I think, once again, it's important to put all of this in context. In the last year of the Trump administration, March, about 34,000 people illegally entered our country. And this year, we're expecting more than 200,000. And, I'm not a math whiz, but literally those are astronomical and historical numbers. And it is because the Biden administration is not using the tools it has in its legal toolbox, including using Title 42 as the Trump administration did.
Well, it's intentional. They don't want want to have open borders. AG, I know you had a big victory in the courtroom when the federal judge blocked the certain applications of ICE's enforcement guidance. That guidance narrowed the agency's focus to 3 categories of illegal migrants for arrest and deportation to recent border crossers, public security threats, national security threats. And you filed that lawsuit with the attorney generals of Ohio and Montana. The AGs are the final word. They are on the cutting edge here on stopping this radical agenda. I'm with Victoria Fernandez this morning, AG. Victoria, jump in.
Yeah, so I have a quick question. I'm here in Houston, right? So Texas, obviously, we have a huge issue when it comes to our border, and we've been fighting a lot of that with Governor Abbott here. So what is it that you think the states can do specifically to kind of fight this battle against what's going on a national level? Because there are a lot of economic consequences that come in. The Texas economy does rely on legal immigrants coming in for work. So what can the states do, like you've been doing in Arizona, in order to help this situation in regards to Title 42 and to Ukrainian refugees?
We just had a case last month, the U.S. Supreme Court. I argued about the Biden administration giving welfare benefits for people that don't have legal status, that are non-citizens. And so we know that they've incentivized people coming here. And look, we are a nation of immigrants. I'm a first-generation American. But the reason why people want to come here, or should want to come here, is because the rule of law means something. We are indeed a land of immigrants. We are not the land of the welfare state. And so it's not the states, actually, as Arizona, we've been filing lawsuits. I've also recently issued an opinion that says what the cartels and gangs are doing does constitute an invasion, which provides more tools in the policymakers' toolboxes, like allowing the governors to continue to build the border wall, to deploy DPS and National Guard resources to, apprehend those cartel and gang members and repatriate them back to Mexico. But at the end of the day, it's important to remember, when it comes to national security and border security, that is where the president is at his apex of power. This is Joe Biden and Cartel Kelly's problem, and the federal government needs to solve it. And that begins by enforcing the law as it is.
Yeah. Well, we certainly see what's going on in Yuma, and send our best to those people who are faced with all of those migrants coming in. One border agent told me they're making 5,000 arrests a week. AG Brnovich, good to see you. Thanks very much for being here. We'll keep following all of that. Mark Brnovich joining us this morning in Arizona.